Hi, I'm Bryan Cohen with WVVH Hamptons Television. The 35th Annual Hampton Classic Horse Show is just around the corner, and as you can tell by what I'm wearing, I've got Hampton Classic fever. Well, you don't want to miss this world-class equestrian event. With more than 1,600 riders, 300 of those represent 20 barns right here on the East End. So here we are at one of the local barns that will be represented at the Hampton Classic. This is Wolffer Estate Stables. Stay with me and you'll find out what it takes to be on the road to the Hampton Classic. I'm here with Federico Sztyrle, and Federico is a Grand Prix rider, an Olympian, and also a trainer here at Wolffer. And Federico, what I'd like to find out, because I want to understand what it takes to prepare to ride in a horse show. And what do you do personally for yourself to prepare, mentally and physically?
Well, basically it's just years and years of preparation to get to the shows, and you start in the low levels until you start moving up. It depends on the horses. You don't do like something really special. It depends on the grounds. Like if say you're gonna show in grass, then you try to train in grass. If it's gonna be in sand or an indoor, then you try to prepare the horse for shorter turns or a big field. So you base your work and all that. But normally you're working your horse for a long time. You know it. You know what they need. And basically
so you need to understand the type of footing that your horse is going to be competing in, and knowing that, how to make sure that the horse is prepared. And
he's been jumping in that type of footing. Also, you if you know the course designer,
yes,
you know what he's going to build, and then you prepare for either like very short lines or you know, very wide oxers. So every course designer has his own style, so knowing that, you work a little bit on that.
I'd like to know a little bit more about what goes on when you're preparing, because let's say that you were riding the Grand Prix this year. I know that the first thing that the riders do is they all go in and they walk the course, and if you can maybe tell us a little about what's going on when you do that, then what you do once you get on your horse and you're about to go in, and then when you're in the ring.
Yeah. Well, you like I told you before, you prepare your horse at home. You make sure, normally when you're at that level, the horses know everything, every kind of footing, and then you study the course, and then you get a plan for your horse, because horses are totally different. So some horses have a short stride, some horses have a big stride. So then you have to know how many strides you're going to do in each line, and how you're going to approach it, and how fast you need to go, how slow. So you totally make a plan. And then also in the schooling area, when you ride your horse, you normally you ride your horse same as always. But if the course is really wide, maybe you want to jump a very wide oxer before, so the horse is aware and things like that. But knowing your horse, you just normally have a plan and you stick with it.
Now, when you're in the schooling ring, I imagine too, depending on the order you're in to when you're going to go into the ring, because I imagine you hear what's going on when other riders come out of the ring. And
well, that's also, it's important. Like if you have to go first, unfortunately the courses sometimes they walk one way, but then when you see other riders doing it, then you change your mind. So you don't want to go first. But so you can change your mind by watching, and you also don't want to watch only one, because that horse can be totally different, can be scared, can be not really wanting to go, and then but if you just analyze like 8 riders, 10 riders, then you're much almost comfortable in knowing what you want.
Right. You're almost at a disadvantage if you're one of the first riders to go, although you set the pace depending on...
Yeah, if you're smart, you can be tricky.
Yeah.
But also, if the footing is not good because it rained, then it's better to go in the beginning.
Right.
So that's the one time that you'll rather to be in the beginning when the footing is softer.
So then, now that you know, let's say that some riders went before, you know how the footing is, you know how they've done, what their times are, and how they've been doing. Now you're going in the ring, and you're in the middle, and you're competing, you're jumping.
And you're in the zone.
Yeah.
Normally you don't hear anything else. Like once that you hear the bell, you go and you're just totally. I don't hear anything that is happening outside.
Wow.
Yeah, and you know the course totally. You don't need to. You're not thinking which is the next fence. You just go. It's unbelievable. You get like into. It's a very long minute or 90 seconds.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable how it seems like you're there forever, and it's only 80 seconds.
Right.
Only 90 seconds.
Wow.
But yeah, you're totally focused. You're going one way.
So one last question. The Hampton Classic is considered one of the most prestigious horse shows in the country. What do you think it is about the Hampton Classic that made it?
I think, well, for us, it's really we're home. So like for all my students and everybody that goes from here, they're always nervous, and it's just really. But also, it's a horse show that is very prestigious and very fancy, and people always want to come, and the Grand Prix are great. There's a World Cup qualifier, so that makes a difference, and they try to keep it so special. And then there's no schooling classes, so the trainers cannot school the horses for the amateurs, so it's always harder for the amateurs also to show in it, and they get really nervous. But it also, like the Sunday Grand Prix is amazing with all the people and the tents, and it's such a cool show. So it is different. Well, I mean, the level is almost like the one in Palm Beach.
Yes.
But the same, but okay, here is special because it's only 1 week.
Right.
And it's in this area where like people are in vacation, and it's just, it's a different mood.
Well, Federico, thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
You're very welcome.
And lots of luck at the Hampton Classic. And I look forward to watching your ride.
Yeah,
thank you very much.
There.
I'm here with Joey Wolffer, a rider here. And Joey, I've been talking to a few people on what it takes to prepare to go to something like the Hampton Classic. And I know you're a rider, but what kind of rider are you? Do you do the hunters, the jumpers, or do you do both?
No, I do not do the hunters. I was not very good at the hunters, so I am in the jumpers now, and I'm doing the low amateur jumpers. This year I have a new horse that I love, and
what's the horse's name?
Her name is Cheval, and she's from Germany, and she is the coolest horse I've ever had, and I'm very excited.
Now, are you going to be, have you entered her into different classes?
We'll just do the low amateur jumpers.
Okay, and she's the only horse that you're going to be riding at the Hampton Classic? Yes. So what do you do to prepare yourself and prepare your horse?
Federico gives us probably 2 jumping lessons a week, and we do different exercises to sort of the ring at the Hampton Classic is smaller, and therefore the jumps come up quicker, and so we do a lot of practice on tight turns to bigger jumps, and other than that I go ride in the Grand Prix field and gallop her around.
The Grand Prix here, the Grand Prix field here at Wolffer Estates. Yeah, it's a beautiful Grand Prix field. I've walked around there myself.
Thank you.
So what is it, when did you start riding, and how did you become interested in riding?
I started riding when I was 6, and we had just started considering the idea of horses on this property, and I think much to my parents' dismay, I loved it. And so the barn started building, and I just kept going with it, and my dad was along with me the whole way. And
well, your father was the late Cristian Wolffer, and he was also a rider.
Well, let's use that term loosely. He enjoyed the sport.
Yes.
I would say that he fell off probably 5 out of 10 times, but always very gracefully.
Now, the thing about your father is that he was a pretty big influence at the Hampton Classic.
Absolutely.
And he was involved quite a bit. Can you talk a little bit about what your father did?
It was the big event for us, for the farm, for him. You know, he didn't like going to horse shows all over, and this one had sort of a little bit of everything that he enjoyed, where he was able to be social and see friends and see old friends, but also support the local area, which it's the perfect place for a horse show. You know, it's got everything and world class jumpers, and he loved that. From being from Germany, he liked that everybody came for this event. And you know, in the last couple of years, we were sponsoring that equitation class, and that was a big deal for us.
Yeah, and I know, and I've met your father. He was very charismatic. I mean, you knew he was there when he was there. He had a nice, big presence.
Absolutely.
And I know, speaking personally, that he's missed at the Classic, and he'll be missed for a very long time. So, outside of riding, what do you do?
I have just started a business this summer with a partner, and it is a boutique on wheels. It is leopard clad, and inside are the most unique accessories from all over the world, and we've been touring from event to event all summer long. And we're going to do a little event here during the Hampton Classic on the Thursday night to get all the riders to come over here and see my shop, but it's really cool.
That's very exciting. And what are some of the things that you sell?
We have jewelry, handbags, belts, hats, just very unique product from sort of Europe, South America, Argentina, Brazil. So it's a very alternative mix, and it's going great. Really been a great success this summer. So taking it on to the next step.
Well, that's great. Well, lots of luck to you with that, and lots of luck to you with the Hampton Classic, and hopefully I'll catch you riding there.
I hope so.
Thank you so much, Joey.
Thank you.
I'm here with Ike Birdsall with Birdsall Hot Shoe, and Ike is a farrier, which is also a horseshoer. And can you explain a little bit what exactly you do?
You know, back in the old days, it used to be a blacksmith. We take the horse's feet and we trim them down, and we nail shoes to them. We shape them in the fire, and we get these guys to be the athletes that they are.
So I'm talking to a few folks here at the barn, and this is to see what it takes. What's the preparation for the Hampton Classic, a show like the Hampton Classic? What does it take to prepare a horse? I mean, the riders have to go through preparation, but also the horses have to be prepared. And you obviously have a key role in doing that. What is it that you do? Is there something about the horseshoes that are different for different classes, or maybe you can explain that?
Yeah, well, in this barn in particular, we have hunters and jumpers, and the hunters will typically wear aluminum shoes up front to improve their gait for the hat classes, and the jumpers are going to be wearing steel. It's a more protective shoe and a little bit heavier, but all the things that we do to, you know, we got a busy couple weeks these next couple weeks trying to get all our horses in top condition and make sure their feet are in A1 shape, so that, you know, they're not blaming me if they don't get the blue ribbon.
That's true. So how often do you need to change out the shoes? I mean, is it something that you have to look at on a daily basis?
No, we usually schedule our horses during the summer, or usually on a 4-week schedule. But you know, sometimes right before the Hampton Classics, we'll throw them on, you know, 3 weeks, and, you know, we even check them at 2 weeks just to make sure they're, you know, ready to go.
Now, do you get emergency calls during the Hampton Classic to come in, like if a horse throws a shoe or whatever? Yeah.
You know, we'll be called in, and we'll go over and work out of the tent, and you know, it's fun going over there, and you know, we might even take a walk around if we get a free moment.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, you have to enjoy it somehow, right?
That's right.
Here's a big question. I'm sure you get asked this all the time. Does it hurt?
Yeah. No, just a little on my back. But, no, we drive the nails into a dead part of the hoof wall, It's kind of equated to the, the tip of your finger where it gets white. You can take a hot needle and put it right through there. So there's no pain, there's no sensitive area in there, and pretty much if I pinch them, they'll kick me out of the barn. So,
That's true, because horses can be pretty sensitive. Yeah. So that's good to know. So here we're at Ike's farrier truck. It sort of looks like the Roach coach,
that's
but
right.
it's a good thing.
That's right. We have no coffee in here, though. Yeah, we just have our supplies in here, and we got our aluminums for the hunters. We got aluminum bar shoes that you're going to use to give a little bit more support for the hunters, and you got a rolled shoe that gives them a little bit of easier breakover, for the jumpers, and steel bars. You got different kind of therapeutic shoes. You got some with some heel caulks there.
So what is
a heavier shoe? You got your fronts. You got your hinds. The difference between a hind shoe and a front shoe. You got a little bit more of a rounder for the front and a little bit more of an angle, because as they travel, the front shoe, the front foot, you actually want them to come down solid and hit like that, and the hind foot is going to come down at an angle and drive into the ground.
That makes sense.
I'm setting the shoe hot, so kill all the bacteria and provide a nice seat for the shoe. Also, it allows me to know if I got the shape right.
Shelli Breidenbach.
Shelli, you're going to be riding at the Classic?
I am. I'll be doing the adult hunters.
And have you shown at the Classic before?
I have. I've shown, every year for probably about the past 5 or 6 years.
And you said that Santos is your trainer?
Yes.
And have you always been with Santos?
Federico first, and then Santos. And Santos has really taken over the hunters in our barn. He's doing a great job. He's amazing.
And who are you riding today?
This is my jumper. This is Miss Daisy, and she's not going to be doing the Hampton Classic. We didn't have the best one last year, so we're going to skip it this year with the jumpers, but the hunters, I think, should be really good.
That's great. So one of the things that I'm talking to people here at the barn is what it takes to prepare for a horse show. What do you do personally to prepare yourself for a horse show?
For me personally, away from the horse, I work a lot on balance, just to make sure that I'm fit, the core is strong, and my balance is good. Because you need to help them as much as you can, so that they can do their job well. And then together as a team, we work on a lot of balance too, and lessons ahead of time. We do a lot of gymnastics, and really just work on our form presentation.
Makes a lot of sense.
Well, you got to do everything you can. This is one of the most competitive horse shows in the country. Everybody's in it to win it.
Now, what do you think it is about the Hampton Classic is so competitive and such a big name amongst riders?
Well, you have the top. But first of all, it's a beautiful horse show. And if I'm not mistaken, it's the largest outdoor horse show in the country. One-week horse show, I think.
I think it is one of the largest.
Yeah. So it's a beautiful horse show, but it's also just incredibly well run, and you get the best talent from all over the country. You have the top Grand Prix riders there, and you have the top hunters there. So the best in the country will be here next week, and it's great for us because it's in our backyard. And so it's always tempting to think it's all going to be much easier than it is, but it's not. And the competition is tough, and compared to Wellington, I think in some respects it's even harder.
Yeah. Well, Shelli, thank you so much, and lots of luck in the Classic this year.
Thank you so much.
I'm here with Santos Lamarca, a rider and trainer here at Wolffer, and you train hunters and jumpers,
Yeah.
correct? And you're also a rider with hunters and jumpers.
Yes.
So I've been talking to a few people on what it takes to prepare to go to a horse show. You know, the Hampton Classic is coming up, and to prepare as a rider, I mean, you're training hunters and jumpers, and maybe even both. What does it take to train the two types of riders?
It's you know, there are two different disciplines, but you pretty much, when you train the riders, you know, I try to advise them on the best plan as possible, either in the jumpers or in the hunters. You know, you go in the ring, you have a plan, and then, you know, really different techniques like jumpers, you know, just all different techniques, but mainly to have a plan. You know, I try to get my students that when they go in the ring, like they can go with a plan. They go with a plan, first jump to the outside line, to this, to that, and you know, and difference in, sometimes you have different situations in the course, and try to do the best as possible so they know how to solve the problems.
Can you explain a little bit what the differences are between a hunter class and a jumper class?
Yeah, a hunter class, basically, you know, you have a judge. In both you have a judge, but in the hunters they're judging the horse constantly. They're judging, you know, horse rider combination, but they're really focused on the horse, how the performance of the horse is, like the shape and the jump, how it canters around, you know, along the course in the ground, the beauty of the horse, the technique, and in the jumpers it's more like is what it is, you know, like the result. You
Right.
had it down, you have it down, and if you have a time fault, you know, in the jumpers you have time, you know, you have certain time that you have to do the courses in. The hunters, you don't really, you know, and you knock a fence down, you know, you have 4 faults. You knock a fence down, the hunters, you have a score, you know, percentage, like around 40, stuff like that, you know. And that's pretty much, I would say, the difference, you know. One is focus on the technique and beauty of the horse and all that stuff, and the jumpers is just more, is what it is. You get one jump, that's it, you know, you have a score.
So I imagine then there's some strategies or differences in how you would train a hunter rider as opposed to a jumper rider. What are some of the differences you might do to train the two different riders?
Well, pretty much, you know, when I'm with my students, what I try to do is to give them a plan, you know. I give them a plan in the course for the hunters, you know, that they can solve or polish the mistakes, you know, the best way as possible, but mainly that they have a plan, that they feel secure, they feel confident with what they're doing, and that's pretty much it, you know. And in the jumpers, you know, as different both activities are, I pretty much try to do the same, you know, where they can get there with confidence, you know, and they feel comfortable with what they're doing, they feel safe, and they feel that they can have fun and try to win it, you know.
So one of the responsibilities you have as well is that you walk the course with your students.
Yeah. You know, when I do that, I like to go through everything, you know, and that they go in and they feel like they know what's going on and what they have to do for all different situations, you know, like the lines, if it's forward, if it's steady, you know, we just kind of go jump by jump, making a plan and try to do it as best as we can.
Yeah. So here's an unrelated question. I didn't actually write it down, but I know you're from Argentina, and I was told that in Argentina they don't have hunters.
No, actually for me it's a little bit of a new experience that I started doing it, you know, a bunch of years ago, and really started competing more seriously this year in Florida. I had a great friend of mine, Charlie Weavers. He was helping me a lot with one good horse that I had named Landius. I did the regular workings there, and I really got the taste of the activity. I loved it.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of times you don't really know what's going on with the hunters, and people from from other countries or from Europe, they don't really care about it, you know. They only care about the jumpers. But really, when you fall into it and you get the taste of it, it's a lot of things, you know. I was, you know, I had the opportunity to work with Charlie. It's a genius of the sport.
And we just lost Charlie recently.
Just lost Charlie, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, what's great is I've actually had the opportunity and the privilege to see you ride recently in a hunter class, and that you won. You took first place, and I have to say firsthand, you're wonderful to watch. I mean, to see someone on a horse so at ease and like just one with the horse, it was just wonderful to watch you. And it's nice to be able to see that, to see what it's like to see someone who knows what they're doing when they're on a horse.
Kind of.
Well, I just started riding myself a little less than a year ago, and you make it look so easy. I'm lucky that I haven't even fallen off yet, but you're wonderful to watch, and I look forward to watching you and riding and seeing you succeed even more. One last question.
Tell me.
The Hampton Classic is considered one of the most prestigious horse shows in the country. What do you think it is that makes it that way?
I think the horse show has a long history. You know, there's big names involved. You know, there's huge sponsors. I mean, and I think the Hamptons itself has a little bit of a traditional, you know, thing that everybody wants to come here. The Hamptons is the cool place to be.
Right.
I mean, and I think that's why. And it's just really a nice, well-organized show. You know, I've been here for 9 years, and every year it gets nicer and nicer and nicer. It's just really pretty place, you know, to be.
Well, great. Thank you so much, Santos. It's been a pleasure, and good luck in the Hampton Classic.
Thanks a lot.
So now I'm with Tony Tobar, who is one of the grooms here at the barn, and you know, we're talking to different people and what it takes to prepare for a horse show for the Hampton Classic. And I think it's important to show that there are a lot of people behind the scenes as well. You've got the horses, the riders, and the trainers, but you also have the grooms who help prepare the horses and take care of the horses. So as a groom, what are some of the responsibilities that you have, Tony?
So I have need to have the horses really clean with Federico. And I had to really take care of the horses for Federico, and I put everything good. He looked the horses. He looked really good.
Make sure the horse looks good.
Before to go to.
So you clean the horses and you brush the horses.
Yeah.
Do you feed the horses as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Now, when you have to make sure the horse is looking good, I mean, are anything special you have to put on the horses? Is it special cleaning, like shampoo?
Yeah,
or
cleaning. And I put the magnetic blankets and
magnetic blankets. Is that to help with their muscles?
With the muscles, and before to go to the class.
Before they leave the barn?
Yeah.
So once you're at the Hampton Classic, because you go there as well with the horses, right?
Yeah.
Now, and how many horses are you responsible for?
3 horses.
3 horses?
Yeah, it's only 3 horses.
And so you go with the 3 horses to the Hampton Classic, and while you're at the Hampton Classic, what do you do once you're there?
When I'm there, I try to have the horses really clean, and I have the stuff really clean before to put in the horses. And
well, thank you, Tony. I appreciate your time, and I look forward to seeing you at the Hampton Classic. So, thank you for joining me here at Wolffer Estate Stables. I'm hanging out with a couple of buddies here. These guys are Clydesdales, and you won't see them at the Hampton Classic, not this year anyway. Maybe they'll have a special class for them next year. So, thank you for joining me on WVVH Hamptons Television. I'm Bryan Cohen. Thank you.